Is 1,228 days since Richard vanished, um, forcibly removed and murdered. We believe murdered. All the evidence is pointing that way. That's not us. Um, the evidence. It's the evidence. And so I have some really shocking things to tell you today. Let's see if I'm on. Okay. Yep, looks like I'm on. Thank you, Mitzi. Good evening. Thank you. I see you. Okay, so thank you so much for coming on. And this is, look, we're at 1,228 days, way over 3 years, and we're still finding and uncovering more and more information in Richard's case because we have been made the investigators. We've also been made, uh, the media in this, because there's been such a cover up and such a blackout and and we didn't understand why, that there was like this gag order, like there was a seal put on Richard's case. And, it was just confusing why the PAO, would not do what they had promised. That the general, we couldn't believe that the general wouldn't do what he promised, which was to every month put out some kind of media announcement about Richard, right? Until he was found. That's what he said to us. We didn't tell him to say that. We didn't even suggest that he do that. We didn't even know to suggest something like that at that time because, it seems like you would know exactly what to say, but you're just in such shock, and the trauma of the whole thing is, you're not allowed to, uh, I don't know, it's incredible that we had the level headedness of our friends and family to say, um, get out that recorder, record everything, write a journal on everything, uh, you know, watch Vanessa Guillen's family, learn from them, go and get a megaphone, go and do the rallies, uh, you know, write these letters, it was just amazing that we had the friends and family, the close, I mean, their family, right? Because at the beginning, you know how you get when something like this kind of emergency hits um, one of your children. It's unbelievable, and so for the general not to have our backs, not to have Richard's back, um, really was confusing to us because we needed that. We needed that help. We knew that Richard needed that help, and we thought that the leadership had an obligation to care for their soldiers, that they had an obligation to the American people to take care of a military installation, to secure the military installation, to search out criminals that were active duty or hurting our soldiers. That uh, and none of that happened. None of that happened. Matter of fact, uh, Lieutenant General Sean Bernabe turned out to be a criminal, a, a criminal, and so did Dirty Agent Marlon Soto in the CID at Fort Bliss, and so did dirty agent Tavita Nusa turn out to be a criminal. And it seemed that, it nothing made a lot of sense about how could so many in these very significant positions turn out to be criminals. The FBI, the CID, the IG, the VA, the Park City, the CPS, the CYS, the chain of command. And I know I'm missing because, the sheriff's department, the Sarasota Sheriff's Department, that means the FBI, and more. I mean, the Department of Justice, And we were like, wait a minute, Richard is a missing soldier, and it doesn't matter anything else. They should all be looking for him. Even Command Sergeant Major Jerry Jakovitz, who went out to eat with us, we paid for his meal. He was shaking terribly. Turned out to be a criminal. The first sergeant, Jay Paulin, criminal. The platoon leader, Dallas Hart, criminal. Bob Moore, criminal. And of course, Dallas Hart's mother, criminal. She's a convicted criminal. She didn't need me to tell her she was a criminal. She has a long record. And, you just are like, why? Don't tell me that a 0.04 BAC makes everybody a criminal. That they would be scared of Richard because he was they take underage drinking seriously. I mean, I'm serious. That's all they had, and they didn't even have that because that was a setup, and it was proven a setup, and we have proven it a setup. And the El Paso Police Department has proven that a setup. When you hear years later that, the person that allegedly called the 911 on Richard was Belen Rocha, and this is years later, and that, she met the officer, the K9, Jesus Melendez, please call us, right? Are you familiar with the Rocha family? Are you familiar with the Katzen family? Are you familiar with this group of, seemingly, apparently, they're criminals, absolutely criminals. And they're connected to 3905 Bliss Avenue. And he, this K9 officer was like, oh yeah, hey Belen, show me where the dude is that you want me to retaliate against. I mean, I don't know if that's what he said. Okay. I'm just like, okay, do they know each other? And it was a setup, and Richard's sitting in his car in a parking lot, and the next thing he knows, he's being arrested and retaliated against continuously, severely for months. And on July 7th, a beautiful judge, Alma Trejo, said, look, this has no legs, and gave him a guaranteed dismissal. Okay? A guaranteed dismissal. And that it was registered on July 9th, 2020. So we know he was still alive at that time. And all of the retaliation that he had received um, had to be rescinded. Okay? Because they were all built on that January 25th, 2020 setup. Okay? So he was occupied, Richard was occupied um, from January 25th, 2020, all the way through July 9th, 2020. And we have it, the whole calendar right in front here, where he was being retaliated, where he had to be in the field for FTX. Just so many things happening because of the COVID lockdown and all of that. And recently, with this connection with 3905 Bliss Avenue, please everybody write down 3905 Bliss Avenue, El Paso, Texas. Put a big heart around it. Stitch it into a beautiful needlepoint. Sew it, applique it, paint it. Uh, it's going to be a painting for me. And put a big heart around it and put it up on your wall, because this was the gift. And also the fake Interpol picture that turns out to be forensically all the measurements of Dallas Hart, all but enough measurements to be Dallas Hart. But that address, 3905 Bliss Avenue, and also 3705 Bliss Avenue, but really 3905 Bliss Avenue, connects the agencies, connects the people from Richard's case with the Petra Crucius case, totally, perfectly making sense of why they didn't want to look for Richard, why Major General Clem Coward called off the search for Richard just days after he left, missing, whatever, murdered, I believe it's murdered, but this is abnormal for them to, he's never been on the criminal database. If he's not a federal criminal database listed, then he's murdered. Okay, then he doesn't exist. This is the thing, and we have Nadal Baim. We have the PAO for the general. We have the general. We have the Department of State. We have organizations looking for Richard's remains and saying they found Richard's remains. And these are, it's just, and then the autopsy reports that they rather commit crimes than answer the questions. Okay? Because to not give us answers is to commit a crime, right? The open records requests, they work for us, and that's why it's a crime when they don't answer our inquiries. And that's why this soldier, this active duty soldier that is inquiring to have or requesting to have a congressional inquiry is so, let's say it ruffles a lot of feathers. And now we know why. Why would they go to such lengths to tell him that Richard's case was a closed case? Okay, why would they do something like that? That's criminal. And then we contacted Veltri, CID agent Veltri, who we believe is also dirty. And she says, oh no, Richard's case is open case. Okay, then why are you telling the active duty soldier that it's a closed case? To intimidate him to not request a congressional inquiry? And see, this is where the battle is with the institutional support, because you have the um, two sides, those that want justice and those that are thwarting justice. And it's very clear in this case. And now we're starting to understand. We're starting to understand all the pieces are coming together. And with the new information, because, it's not enough for us to say, hey, we've been told that if you want to know where Richard's remains are, that you need to ask Deborah Sarah West. You need to ask Deborah Sarah West. You need to ask Bob Moore. I'm wondering if Felix Valenzuela knows. We need to ask Leilani Hart. All the roads lead to Leilani Hart because she seems to be connected to every one of these people. And, manipulates. And, she was, we were told that she was bragging that she controls the CID. Was she controlling El Paso Matters with Bob Moore? Was she controlling Angela Kachurga? Was she controlling the command? James Eisenhower? Was she controlling Clem Coward? Major General Clem Coward? Was she controlling Lieutenant General Sean Bernabe and General McConville and Lieutenant General Donna Martin? Was she controlling them? Because the evidence is that they're controlled. The evidence is that they're up to no good. The evidence is that they're criminals. Hard facts, irregularities, and circumstantial evidence. And they don't want to identify crime, even though crime is right in front of their eyes. They don't want to, and I'm talking about the dirty agents. They don't want to identify the crimes. They don't want to identify the criminals. They don't want to document the crimes, even though, it's right in front of them. So are they participating in it? That's what the evidence says then, right? If they don't want to identify the criminals and the crime and document it, then they're participating in it. Because then there's no prosecution of it. Because before you have any accountability, the prosecution of all the crimes, you have to identify the crime and the criminals and document it. Because that's the type of country we are. You have to go through steps. And when you look at Richard's case and what we're being told now, and we spent yesterday looking at the timeline, just trying to wrap our brains around what we have been told. And is it possible? And it is. And it's so shocking. It's so unbelievable what I'm about to tell you right now. And that is because Richard was so, can you imagine 45 days of extra duty, the COVID, the GOMAR, the FTXs, the hospital stay, the bullying, the chaptering, all the appointments for it. That's 2020. That first half of 2020. We've been told that Richard's case came before the Walmart case. Came before. Okay, so when did the Walmart mass shooting occur? August 3rd, 2019. August 3rd, 2019. And we are told that Richard whistle blew. That's when his case started, when he started whistleblowing. Well, could that be possible? And we looked at it, and we know all of the information that we have, and we know that when Richard was in Qatar, that's because, see, he got there in 2018, and then he was deployed to Qatar, and he was so excited to be there, right? Being the Distinguished Honor Graduate for basic training and advanced individual training. He was so excited, and he was deployed to Qatar with Delta Battery 143, and all of a sudden, it was a 180. I don't want to be in the Army. I don't want to be promoted. I don't want to go green to gold. I don't want anything to do with it. And he said, it's so bad. It's so bad. And you have to realize that we, as parents, didn't want Richard to join the military. And, you know, when he, of course, we love him. We had an idea of what was going on in the military. We didn't feel that that was right, and we didn't want him to join. But he did, and he became Distinguished Honor Graduate. And I told him, I said, well, maybe I was wrong, Richard. I don't know. Maybe I was wrong. Maybe this is what you need to do. But when he got to Qatar, he was careful about what he told us because of that little bit of history. You know, I guess he didn't want the whole I told you so, but he admitted to us it's really bad. And I thought, okay, I'm not going to say I told you so. I'm just going to let you talk to your dad. And Rob was like, son, keep your head down, just do your time. And, you know, but he said it was really bad. Mom, it's really bad. And so did he start whistleblowing then? And we're told that he did. That's when he started whistleblowing. And the people that he was whistleblowing against are connected to the Walmart case, connected to 2905 Bliss Avenue. They're connected to those that are up to no good. They're connected to those that want to be political attack machines, that they are a political attack machine, and that they are absolutely connected to the Walmart case. That Patrick Crusius did not act on his own, did not come up with that idea of his own, did not come up with the idea of his manifesto. And I don't know. But what we're being told is that if those that received Richard's complaints would have heeded those complaints, that they could have identified the criminals and the crime, because they were up to other things. It wasn't just the Walmart connection that they were connected to. They were connected to other crimes like weapons smuggling, ammunition smuggling, making child pornography, producing that, and distributing it for cash, for money, right? Narcotics trafficking, identity theft, falsifying reports and documents, so many things that was going on. And the barracks not being fit to live in, being flush with weapons, being marketplaces for illegal drugs, and with the pushing the sex narrative, the sex cult narrative, bringing in the party girls, the alcohol parties, and what I'm saying there is the sexual assaults, the sexual harassment that was going on, that was allowed to go on. And if you reported it, like Asia Graham, you were retaliated against. She's not an isolated case. So you had the failure of leadership in every area. In every area, you had a failure of leadership. And that failure of leadership, of course, breached the security of Fort Bliss in so many ways. Not just a little breach, but huge gaps. Huge gaps. And with Richard wanting to be a detective, wanted to be an investigator, and absolutely pursuing his education so that he could be an investigator, and being connected, we absolutely have hard evidence that Richard had inquired to be a CID agent. We have the confirmation from Dirty Agent Marlon Soto. He had to admit that Richard had inquired to be a CID agent. We know that he was taking courses to be a CID agent. The CID internship was like, ooh, really? Okay. Okay, that explains how he knew Ann Ogle, how he knew Thomas Kane, how he knew those at Park University and in the CID and the Director of Emergency Services, how he knew them, and how he absolutely knew how to make the complaints, and that if they would have heeded or took seriously his concerns and identified those that he was complaining against and identifying the crimes that they were committed. And I think that was kind of going on a little bit, because we have earlier reports that there were arrests, because of what Halliday reported. And we were told while we were there during the rallies that the IG were all over the barracks because of Halliday. Okay? So, yes, this absolutely fits in the timeline. It could happen. What we're being told is a real possibility. It's a real possibility that if they would have heeded Richard's concerns, that it was before August 3rd, 2019, that if they would have done their duty, the Walmart mass shooting could have been prevented. That is a real possibility. And I'm going to say that again. It's fitting into our timeline. It's fitting into the evidence that we have, the irregularities that we have, the circumstantial evidence that we have. It is absolutely making sense with what we know about this case. And if they would have taken seriously a whistleblower, that those in law enforcement could have prevented the Walmart mass shooting, and 23 lives could have been spared. So many injured could have been spared their trauma. The families, the children, the community, the financial implications of that tragedy could have been spared. Millions and millions of dollars, a big bond for what, 400 million or whatever. Maybe it was more. That all the taxpayers' money, just the lives, the impact on lives could have been spared. And the DA at the time of all of this was Jaime Esparza. Okay? He was the DA at the time of all of this. And he was then beaten by Yvonne Rosales. She was duly elected by very narrow margins, but she was duly elected, a female, a Hispanic female at that, a Democrat. It's a Democrat-held area. That's not a shocker. And absolutely not, not one of us is a perfect person, not one of us at all. But she was duly elected. January 1st, 2021, she took that office. So this 2019 Walmart case and Richard being murdered in July of 2020, that's all under Jaime Esparza. Okay? And Jaime Esparza, after being beaten, he went into retirement, but then he came out to be, they drug him out, and they made him the Attorney General. Why? Why? Because he hasn't done anything, but was that the reason to do nothing? See, this is the thing. Bill Hicks, who was not duly elected, was appointed, has done nothing. Is that what they want? A do nothing? Do nothing. Do not identify crime. Do not identify the criminals. Do not document the crimes. And then they can't be prosecuted. So Bill Hicks, the chief prosecutor, if he does nothing, then there's no prosecution. And therefore, 4 years, and they still do not have a court date for the Walmart case, for the Patrick Crusius Walmart case. Yes, it was tried federally, but there's a state case. And the state case that's costing millions of dollars, they're just using it as this gravy train for years and years, millions of dollars. And we have asked, and you can ask too, for an open records request from Amy Snoddy from the office of the governor to get the numbers, to get the accounting. That's your money. That is your money, and they work for you. And that is why they have those documents to give in an open records. That's why they have to spend a lot of money to keep the accounting, to show where the monies go. And that is to be held accountable, to have oversight. Otherwise, why would they even have to do it if they don't even care, if they don't have to show anybody? Right? And so we have requested that information. How much money has been spent? Because this is a do nothing. This is do not identify the criminals, do not identify the crime, do not document it, and do not prosecute it. But you know what? That's their job. That's their job. And so we believe, because of the concerted effort by El Paso Matters as a political attack machine, and when you look at the articles against Yvonne Rosales, and I don't know her, I'm not stumping for her, I'm saying where the evidence is taking us. The evidence, when you read through those articles, it is nonsensical and very obvious a political attack. A political attack because she came in at the height of COVID, January 1st, 2021, where there were closed offices, where there were her people in dire fear, unnecessarily. They were conned, they were hypnotized, but they were in so much fear. And they did not show up for work. And you're talking about lawyers. And they had to, you're talking about the whole legal structure. You're talking about courtrooms and everything like that. And it was a real mess. They had to, there was a backup. And yet, this duly elected first female Hispanic district attorney, the chief law enforcer, was politically attacked. No patience. Where is the attack against Bill Hicks all this time, and he doesn't have a date? Not one political attack against him. Where is, finally, I think last week there was, or a week before that, there was El Paso Matters Bob Moore. And why am I picking on Bob Moore? Why is he so obvious in this? Well, he's the one that called for the petition. He's the one that was looking on how to unseat a DA, a duly elected DA. And then 2 days later, called for a petition to unseat and force Yvonne Rosales to resign. Why? What was she actually doing? Was she doing something? Was she looking into the Patrick Crucius case? Was she looking into Richard Halliday's case? Was she putting the 3905 Bliss Avenue address together with both cases? Was she figuring out that Richard case was way before the Walmart mass shooting incident on August the 3rd of 2019? And she was like, "Oh my gosh, he was reporting, he was whistleblowing against the very people that are connected to the Walmart case. If we would have listened to him, if we would have acted, if we would have done something, if Jaime Esparza would have done something, if the chain of command would have done something, they could have prevented the Walmart mass shooting." Maybe, apparently, seemingly, allegedly. I don't know. But when you think about what has happened in this case, if you have been following for even just a year, you will absolutely say, "Oh my gosh," because we have so much evidence. You see, this is the thing. Not only are we victims, or not only have our civil rights have been totally violated and our son has been murdered and we have gone through so much harassment. Matter of fact, I was called yesterday and the person was like, "You know what? You have a huge defamation case against Amber Chase. You need to understand that this woman is out of control." And I was really happy that he called because um he was not calling to ask, "Hey, are you really what all this defamatory rhetoric is saying?" No. He's like, I'm believing you. I'm believing you. You have a case. You have a case against this woman. And what is her problem?" I said, "Well, she was mortuary affairs. She was mortuary affairs, and 2905 Bliss Avenue seems to be apparently was bought by William Beaumont Medical Army Medical Center, and operates as an annex or a liaison or for mortuary affairs. I mean, we have the medical examiner of El Paso, Mario A. Rascon Ortiz, connected to 39. Oh, I don't know why I say 29 all the time. 3905 Bliss Avenue. He's connected. He's connected to Richard's case. He was in charge of the deceased in the Walmart mass shooting. And there's more. There's a lot of irregularities. There's a lot behind this that I'm not at liberty to say. But I'm telling you this, that evidence is pointing to that Richard was whistleblowing before the Walmart case, and that if they would have done their duty, who received his concerns, that the Walmart case, probably a real possibility, would never have happened, and El Pasoans would have been spared that horror, and 23 lives would have been spared. And Richard's whistleblowing, he would have been supported as a whistleblower instead of retaliated against. Um, I think he was a hero. think he was a hero. And it's so proud of him. Uh, when I think of all of the lives lost, um, and I think of my mind goes to Jerry Jakovitz, who was just shaking, 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 shaking. Um, they knew that Richard was whistleblowing. They knew. And they knew that they did nothing. Uh, let's just say they did nothing good. They did nothing good. They either participated or looked the other way. Um, and so many lives, so many lives have been hurt. So many. So, yeah, it is. It's so sad that you have a command sergeant major that will cause so much pain, so much hurt, um, and then take the reward of the VA job. You know, you don't get a VA job like that easily. Um, and it's no secret that James Hart, who was uh, outed or a complaint against him for being incestuous, being a child sex predator, um, illegally purchasing weapons, threatening his family with those illegal weapons, um, and more and more. Being extreme. This is something I haven't focused on in talking, but has been part of the complaints by Leilani Hart about James Hart, is that um, he is very extreme in his thinking, very extreme. And did he train anybody to be extreme too? Because they're saying that there was extreme thinking behind the Walmart case. And, to go into a Walmart and shoot people up, that's extreme thinking. You know, that is a young guy that, his father, Patrick Crucia's father, um, and, I didn't know any of this. This is all because we have been made investigators in our son's case. I didn't go looking for this. I didn't know this. This is all because Dirty Agent Marlon Soto and Lieutenant General Sean Bernabe told us with his P.P. McGee SJA lawyer that they could not help us unless we brought them leads. They could not do anything for us. Well, we can put out a little snippet, every month, but we cannot help you unless you bring us leads. Tell us what you know. And, I want my son. We want our son. So, of course, we're going to investigate to get the leads, to give them the leads so that they could help us find our son. So they made us investigators. And Patrick Crucius's dad wrote a book on mind control. Okay? So mind control, now that's a fact. That's not me. That's not me. That's a fact. Patrick Crusius's dad wrote a book on mind control. Okay? That's just evidence there. That something is all, it's not me that says that James Hart is a pedophile, incest, terrible person. That's Leilani Hart. Leilani Hart is saying that. And that report, that notarized complaint is part of Richard's case. Why? Because Dallas Hart is Richard's platoon leader. That's why it was part of Richard's case. Because Leilani Hart was saying that Richard's platoon leader is in an incestuous relationship. Okay? And it wasn't me that said that Dallas Hart was into child pornography. Okay? That was Leilani Hart. Leilani Hart was saying that Dallas Hart is into incest and child pornography. And because Dallas Hart picture was overlaid because of tampering with evidence, manufacturing evidence, tampering with witnesses, intimidating witnesses, because Dallas Hart's picture was digitally overlaid on top of Richard's picture and turned into Interpol, where we're like, where did that picture come from? That's not right. That picture is not right. And the forensics on that picture is not Richard. All the measurements are off, but they fit neatly and nicely with the measurements of Dallas's face. Why? Why is Dallas's face all over our son's Interpol picture? And, Dallas had to get his teeth redone. What's going on? So, Leilani's criminal complaint that was notarized is part of Richard's case because Dallas is part of Richard's case, and the accusations in that criminal complaint were about Dallas. And there's so much more that and then all of them are connected to Bob Moore of El Paso Matters, to Felix Valenzuela, and Felix Valenzuela is connected to 3905 Bliss Avenue and 3705 Bliss Avenue with Danae Katzen and Belin Rocha and their family members, and they're connected to people in the Walmart case like Rosa Maria Valdez Garcia, like Thomas, what is her son's name is Thomas, and they're connected, and that address is connected to the mortuary affairs, and that address is connected to Dr. Mario Roscon Ortiz, connected to William Beaumont Army Medical Center, connected to Bob Moore because of Ann Ogle, because of investments and a plane, access to a plane. Connected to pilot Deborah Sarah West, which we're told she's a person to go to find out where Richard's remains are, who we know was teaching Dallas Hart how to fly. And then all of a sudden it's like, oh, no, we don't have anything to do with Dallas. We don't know Dallas. I wasn't teaching Dallas to fly. Wait a minute. I have screenshot after screenshot. We have the evidence. And then we hear Richard's case was before the Walmart case, before August 3rd, 2019, and that if they would have done their duty, they could have prevented the Walmart case from happening. Wow, that's really, we need the answers. Because those allegations, those remarks, that information that sits so neatly in this case and in the Patrick Crusius case, because there's a lot of things when you start reading all of these articles, when you start, there is a lack of transparency in the Patrick Crusius case. And they don't even have a court date yet, 4 years in. And they have been, just sucking up the millions of dollars from the taxpayers and don't even have a court date. And even double dipping because they got millions of dollars federally and millions of dollars from the state. And they still don't have a court date. There is not transparency in the Patrick Crusius case. And am I saying that he's not guilty? No, he is guilty. We've got his picture. We've got his weapon. We've got the forensics, the bullets. How many bullets? That's a good question. How many bullets? How many people did he kill? We have 23, right? What did he confess to? We want to know. And who was he talking to that might be in mind control? Because I'm going to tell you that we have information that I am at liberty to share with you that Ann Ogle with Thomas Kane were researching mass shootings before that ever happened. So, is there a connection with Ann Ogle and Thomas Kane and Patrick Crusius? Is there a connection with Park University and Patrick Crusius or Ann Ogle? We know there is one with Ann Ogle. Or maybe it's with New Mexico State University. Or maybe it's with Fort Bliss. Is Patrick Crusius, did he ever join the Army? Was he in the Army? Where is the transparency? Was he in some kind of experiment or a special mission or something? What is going on with how in the world Did a young man um, get the idea, get the nerve, get the bravado to take up arms and to shoot people up in a Walmart? And there's no transparency because who is who were his roommates? Who was talking to him? Where is the conversations online? Did he was a computer geek, I think. Wasn't he a computer geek? So is he in these games? Is he in these cuz I know they use these game chats. What is it? Bring out, why do they not want a trial? Because they don't want transparency? Because who was he with? Who were his friends? Where was he? How was he? What was he? We got this manifesto, but really? Like, we don't have a problem with the falsification of evidence? The manufacturing of evidence? We know we have that with Dallas Hart. So, where are our millions of dollars being spent to identify crime, identify the criminals, document the crime and the criminals, and prosecute the crime and the criminals? Where is that? Where it, because this is our complaint against Veltri. She had a crime being committed right in front of her eyes, and she couldn't even identify it. If she is a special agent with forensics, all this history and everything, she's supposed to be award winning, right? And she can't even identify a crime, identify the criminals, document the crime and the criminals, and prosecute the crime. Why is she in her job? Why doesn't she go bake some cookies? Why doesn't she go be a librarian? Something else she can do. Because she's not fit for that job. We want institutional support, and we're getting institutional support. That's why we have this information, right? That's why we have this information coming out. That's why they are investigating. That's why we're waiting for any day now for Leilani Hart to be arrested. Any day now. Please, God, let her be arrested. She has obstructed justice. She has tampered with witnesses. She has lied to law enforcement authorities over and over and over again. So we do have that institutional support, but there is a real battle going on, and we want more institutional support. And so that means they have to be compelled, they have to be driven to do the right thing, because we can't wait around waiting and hoping that they're going to be replaced. They've got to be compelled to do their duty. Now, do I believe that these people need to be replaced, stripped of their uniform, stripped of their stars? Yes. Yes. But who am I? I can't do it. If I could, I would order it right now. Go have them arrested. Strip them of their uniforms. Strip them of their stars. Let's get someone in there that will do the job. Secure our military installations. Protect our whistleblowers. identify crime and criminals, document it, and prosecute it, train our service members. We have evidence that they are falsifying training reports so that they're sending our service members into battle with not the proper training and not the proper equipment and not the proper, not enough ammo, right? Where is that all going? This is a national security threat. And it's just it's so big. And all we want is to know where our son is. Lieutenant General Bernabe, where's our son? And don't tell me that we take underage drinking seriously. I mean, really? Really? You can't even secure a military base. You can't even you don't want to secure a military base. You don't want a secure barracks. To me, that says they are culpable, that they are in on it, in on the narcotics trafficking, in on the weapons smuggling and the ammunition smuggling. They are in on it. If they can't secure, they are in on the PTSD, because if we have so much sexual harassment, if we have so much retaliation against whistleblowers, then we're going to have a lot of PTSD. They are in on it. And he's trying to tell me that, and it was so insane, that they take underage drinking seriously. I just was like, wow. Wow. Yeah. Where's my son? Maybe I have a lead for you, Lieutenant General Sean Bernabe and Major General Eisenhower. Go to Deborah Sarah West, we are told, and even Bob Moore and Leilani Hart, and ask for the coordinates of our son's remains. Ask them. Because we're told they know. Oh, and add on to that, El Paso medical examiner Mario A. Rascon, I hope I'm saying it right, Ortiz. Or you can go right over there to 3905 Bliss Avenue. Maybe this is another thing. Who paid for the whole renovation? Just of that back building, we have information that just the back outbuilding, like the shed, they spent $100,000 on. Really? Who paid for that $100,000? Is that like one of these $30,000 toilets or something? Is that a money laundering scheme? I want to know if the renovations for that back shed, tool shed or whatever, $100,000, who paid for that? You wouldn't believe the information we have that we're not at liberty to say. This is, I'm just the one that's being transparent and trying to tell the public what's going on so that I can get my son's remains, right? That's it. But there are just some things I'm not at liberty to tell you. And I just want to let you know that as soon as I can, I will. As soon as I can, I will. And, you know, if I just do this live stream every day, um, I get the opportunity because sometimes this case it has so many facets and is so long. I don't even touch on Anthony Swafford anymore. I don't touch on, he was told that Richard was some kind of criminal. He wasn't told that Richard was a whistleblower and that if we would just listen to him, that the Walmart case may not have even been committed. The whole Walmart tragedy. That's not what Anthony Swafford. I don't even comment on him anymore. I need to comment on him. I need to comment on Nadal Baim, the FBI man. Shh, shh, it's a secret. And so many more events and incidences and that have happened through this. So I could talk for hours if I wanted to cover everything. The where we think they dumped the car, where we think they dumped the evidence, um, more evidence, the plane, there's just and all the different connections, how we found the connections. Um, um, it's just so vast. And I hope you can read through the lines. I hope that you can share and come back often to, and hopefully we can compel, let them know that the evidence is there and you don't want to be caught up in this if you are. You don't want to. Because look at what's happening with the J6 committee. Look at what's happening with George Floyd. Oh my gosh, I wanted to play that video. Maybe I will play it tomorrow. But the George Floyd video where that was all a lie. A lie. And this cop was stabbed 22 times the other day. It was all a lie, y'all. We're being mind controlled. We're being mind controlled and hypnotized and out and outright controlled, even if you've got their number. So, and there's lots of good people in there, but this is also has a lot of people that are up to no good. And I hope I'm not confusing people with what I'm saying. I hope I'm not. I think people understand that we have an internal battle going on, and I believe it's a spiritual battle. I really do. Okay, everyone, thank you so much. Good evening, Danielle. Thank you so much. And I will be back tomorrow, God willing.